Welcome. In front of me I have the ZT Red Magic Astra, and today I'll show you a couple of tweaks and tricks you can do on this device. So I will start off by saying that these will be relatively simple. Anyway, let's just get straight into this. We're going to go into settings first, and in here we can start off with the customization of our device, which we have a general section for this, themes and personalization. And obviously here you can change things like themes. And here's a couple pre-made ones, which should include things like icon packs, wallpapers, and so on. I did experience at one point that the icon packs didn't change. Let me quickly check. So we have square ones right now. I'm going to just, for the lols, apply one and see if it will apply it successfully. Okay, so here it works. We have circular icons, so that's good. Just wanted to check it out. One point this didn't work for some reason. So if you have a problem, unfortunately it seems like resetting your device does fix the problem. Anyway, apart from themes, we have ability to change obviously the wallpapers and lock screen settings. Now under lock screen settings we have the info, like our status bar like the battery status, notifications, and some other things, which we have weather, which isn't being pulled, alarm clocks, obviously time, and you can change that to show you different styles, though for the most part it seems like it's showing always the same thing, which is battery, weather, alarm, and time. Now moving further down, we have options for individual icons. So if you want, you can change those independently. You don't need to go with a specific theme that has them. And additionally, if you download more, they should show up in here. Apparently we don't have any icons here. Anyway, next we have colors and shapes. This just refers to shapes like this one or these ones right here, and obviously the colors like blue primarily right here, and whatever we have right here in the settings. Now if I change this, let's see, apply, will it apply it? Yep. So one thing that I personally don't like about the colors and shapes is the fact that the moment you change it to any one of these, it for the most part changes, I believe, all of those in here. Oh no, okay. So here you can actually have a little bit more flair of colors. Now we have some other options below as well. Let's quickly check one of those. Let's pick something multicolor. There we go. See how that looks like. So I'm checking multiple different ones. Some devices have this kind of crappy way that when you change the colors right here, it will make every icon, for instance, right here be the same color. It starts to look very bland, so I just wanted to make sure that it doesn't do that right here. But in any case, we also can change, like I mentioned, the shape, so you can choose whichever one you want. I actually like this one. Let's set this one up and see how that looks like. And oh, there we go. And you can see changes. So just a little bit of a different look to your device. We have things like fonts and animations. In animations, this is another thing that I recommend doing. Let's go in here and change it to fast animations. Reason for that is this device, this tablet has a 165 Hz refresh rate. Now, it's also got enough power, considering it's rocking a Snapdragon 8 Elite, to get through these animations without ever dropping a single freaking frame. Now, by having a moderate animation speed, you're just kind of wasting time. Now, it might be milliseconds, but hey, milliseconds added here, they add up. And, well, what do you do with that time is up to you. So anyway, I prefer to have it out fast. It just opens up applications faster, and you can kind of see this a little bit right here. Sadly, there's no like side-by-side comparison between them that would have given you a bit more understanding on what the difference is, really, because I can choose one of those, and you can see that it's slower, hopefully. But if you would see side-by-side, you would be able to see this much clearer. So anyway, I prefer the fast animation just because when you typically, fast animations might not be the best for every device, and just to kind of explain this, when you have a slower spec'd device, when you open up something like your photos, for instance, it won't always just be instantly open. It will take a moment to load it up. For instance, something like if camera is opened, Again, here it's okay, there we go. It did take a tiny bit of time to open it up fully. I guess you can see it actually load. Actually, you can't really see it because it's almost black on black. So let me lift it up so you can see that. So it has this tiny moment where it's still black. So for instance, on a slower devices, this moment is a little bit longer. And this is just like a quick example, as camera usually takes, I think, the longest to load fully. But there are usually applications like Facebook Messenger and so on that obviously on devices like this will almost instantly be opened. But on lower end devices, it will have a moment to load it up. And you will just kind of have like a blank screen almost. So when it comes on tablets like this with fast processor and fast animation, you have a fast animation for that. You open it up and it's already loaded. While on lower devices, even if you can increase the animation speed, which on every device you actually can, just not as easily as it's here, you will be still kind of waiting for the application to load. Here, not so much, so I highly recommend using that. Now, let's move on. Under home screen, we just have a general section for customization for the home screen itself. Things like the app drawer. You can have the standard mode if you prefer that. I don't, so I'm going to stick with this one. Moving on, under display, we have dark mode, which I'm going to turn it off. I think on video it actually might look better in light mode. There we go. So, but for the dark mode, you also have the either permanently on or automatically, so it would be based on a schedule or time of day, meaning sunset to sunrise, for instance. And additionally, we have things like color, mode, and temperature. So color mode would most likely, or not most likely, would basically refer to the saturation of the display. And you can go through this and see how it affects it. So you have soft, standard, and colorful. Colorful being the saturated with more bluish tones. Standard is toned down. Yellow is toned down, and generally the entire image, I don't know if this is visible on the camera, generally the entire image a little bit warmer, and yellow specifically color is a little bit turned down. Now, if we look at this between standard and soft, there is not much difference apart from the orange and yellow being toned down even further. Now, at this point, this is a bit probably closer to what I would consider these images probably looking in real life like. So that's what I'm going to stick with. I do like the less kind of colorful, vibrant look on a display, so that's what I'm going to stick with. But at the end of the day, this is completely up to you. What you prefer to see on a display. If you like colors, that's great. Stick with that one. Now, personally, I think it's probably set to standard by default, so you might, switch it up to whatever you want. Anyway, below that we also have the color temperature. Color temperature is responsible for the general tone of the entire display. This is primarily visible when you have white background and when you switch to, for instance, cool or warm. Warm will be more yellowish. The entire screen will become a little bit more yellowish, while cool will become more bluish, which is actually kind of what happens between the colorful and soft, as they both kind of go to the opposite end. So colorful is more towards blue side, so the white around here becomes more bluish, while soft becomes warmer. And you can pay attention to the white background right here when I switch them. So this is much bluer, though I don't think on the camera you can actually see this. Yeah, I don't think. This is very subtle on the camera actually. So in person this is a bit more visible. Now, what you probably will be able to see is when I start moving this dial right here, because you're not limited to just warm, cold, and normal. You can actually just set the color itself. So you can see this rave right now. So you can choose whatever tone you want yourself. Now, checking quickly in here, do we have also this? No. Okay, we don't. Sometimes devices do have the option to set the temperature, the tone of the display automatically using the camera. Here we don't have such an option. Now I'm mentioning that because when you do have this option, it actually locks away the wheel that we had at the bottom there. Anyway, moving further down, we have refresh rate. Now this is a gaming tablet, so we're probably going to be rocking the 165 permanently on here, or at least auto, which gives you up to 165 frames per second, which is great. But generally, if you don't see much of a difference between these refresh rates, maybe you got this device because it was on sale, but you don't really play games on it, which, hey, it's completely fine. Then you can switch maybe to 60. This would get you better battery life, and if you can't really tell the difference, then you're not really losing much, but you're gaining battery. Now, one more thing in here, which I personally like to turn off, is the refresh rate that is visible in the status bar. Now, this is automatically adjusting the refresh rate, so having it show you that it's 165 set to that is absolutely pointless, because it's actually not telling me what it is running at right now. Right now, this display isn't at 165 frames. It's probably 30 or even less. So this is absolutely useless to me. It shows me nothing other than what my setting for this display refresh rate is going to be at maximum refresh rate, not what it is right now. So get rid of this crap. It serves literally no purpose. And I think you also have a notification in here. There we go, refresh rate. So you can click right here and check it quickly from this side. So you don't need that stupid little information in your status bar. It just clutters it. Now moving to notification and status bar, we have this nice option under the status bar icons to get rid of some of the icons that we don't care to see whatsoever. Now I personally do like to turn them off on any device that gives me the ability to, as these icons serve me for the most part no purpose. Either they're permanently off or they're permanently on, and if they're permanently on, I know that they're on. I did set this up myself. So for me, for instance, knowing that Bluetooth is turned on and having that damn icon in the status bar serves literally no purpose. I know it's on. It's always on. And if I don't know, I can do this. Would you look at that? It's off. So yeah, I like to turn this crap off. Hotspot I don't really care to see. It usually turns off automatically once you're done using it. Anyway, that's assuming you're done using it. If you're not, it's not gonna interfere with your status bar at all. We have other things like VPN, microphone mute, and so on. Now, other than that, the other thing that will turn off is things like location, Wi-Fi, as I'm primarily connected to Wi-Fi. When I'm home, when I'm not, it's off. So again, I don't care to see this. Alarms I would keep. Battery I also like to keep. And then when it comes down to notifications, icons, I actually like to set the option to show a number. Now you have other options as well as don't show in here, but I do like the number. It shows you just a simple info how many notifications you have. It doesn't show me the icons, just the info that I do have them, and I can then just swipe down and see. Updates are ready. Oh, cool. And now that it's gone. So moving further down, we have pull down from the top of lock screen. I actually want to check what the hell that is. It's a lock screen. Let's see what will happen. Oh, it just toggles. Yeah, it's a status bar. Okay. Now I am looking for one more option, which I would hope it's here. Oh, it's already enabled by default. Okay. So swiping down from the top, from anywhere on your screen, will get you your notification. Now this, I personally like it. It removes the need for you to swipe from the very top, and especially on a device like this one, if you're using it one-handed, like so, for instance. Sorry for not fitting it in the screen fully, but if you're just kind of scrolling through a website, right, it's going to be very difficult for you to kind of shift all the way to the top to pull it down. So you can just do it from here. Pretty simple. So this, in my opinion, is one of the greater options that I just actually use on every device that I can. Now let's continue on. We have some Red Magic AI Plus, which is a sidebar. Not sure why this is labeled as AI, actually. I'm looking at this and it just looks like a damn sidebar. So there we go. Big whoop. You have applications. You know what also has this crap? Samsung and Huawei and other devices. And they never labeled this as AI. So I'm not sure why NUBIA Red ZT had the audacity to label this as AI. In what way is it AI? while this feature turned on, with this feature turned on, swipe inwards from the left edge of the right or the right edge of the screen and hold to unfold the sidebar. Okay, where is the portion where it explains in what way is it AI? Did you just slap AI plus on here for the shits and giggles here? Like what? Huh? I am generally confused about this stupidity here. Anyway, other things that we have right here is a Red Magic Smart Window, which I think was associated with... oh no, it's not the same thing as the Smart Bar or Sidebar, as you do have the option to do this, for instance, though. For some reason, you don't have the option to... Oh no, we do. Wait. Quickly check. Ah, there we go. Just click on it. So you do have this option to have a tiny little pop-up window. You can move it around, resize it if you want to, minimize it, maximize it, and just straight up get rid of it. So this doesn't look to be associated with that one. And next we have a Red Magic Translate. Okay, so this one will probably be using AI, which fine. It's gonna detect whatever is playing and then try to give you translation for it, whatever. If you're into it, obviously you can turn that on. Now, that being said, things like YouTube, for instance, do offer this now by default. Even when you don't like it, you'll have content translated to the region you're in, because God forbid you would be able to have the option for you to choose it for yourself. So this could be a little bit better, as you do have a bit more control. But keep in mind, if, for instance, YouTube automatically translates it nowadays, don't know if it translates every content, but I've encountered it every time I did. It wasn't from my own choice, and well, I can't really turn that off, which is pretty annoying. Now, anyway, the next thing we have in here, we have a couple options for some light strips, cooling, and whatever. Now, I'm not going to talk about them right here, as we do have the same options labeled in other places, which actually make more sense than having them in the settings. So let's move on to that one. So we have this little button right here. It's going to switch it. There we go, switch it. It goes into the gaming mode. Yes, cool start. And unfortunately I have no game, so let me add one. So we're not going to be enabling anything. And I want to pick something that is in landscape mode, as it's a little bit better. Let's do Facebook. And start. Oh, for God's sakes, it's also not in... why is everything in portrait? Come on. For the love of God. Please. Please give me the little icon to switch. Auto rotate is also enabled. That's great. Totally not annoyed by that one. Okay, in any case, you know what, let's stick with this piece of shit, even though it's forcing me into portrait mode and I hate it. So from here, once you have something in portrait or landscape, it doesn't actually matter. It will matter, in this case, how you access the settings. So if you have it in, it's basically always from the sides. If you're holding it in portrait, it's obviously from top to, or portrait, sorry. If you're holding it in portrait, it's from sides. If you're holding it in landscape mode, it would be basically the top or bottom of the tablet, but it's, well, in your perspective, still sides, right? So in this case, we'll have to do it like so. Where is it? Come on. Come on. Oh, not what I wanted. Yeah, man, it should be. Swipe again. There we go. So you can see, once you swipe, you have to find it somehow. So it will always pop up with, oops, this one. Please swipe again. So when you do, it brings up this overlay right here. For some reason, it's a little bit dimmer than I would like it to. Let's see if I can. There we go. There's the brightness. Oops, a little bit too much. So in here, we have a bunch of different options. At the top, we have some information. Brightness, our clock for the CPU. We also have at the bottom GPU. Let's stick with first with the top side. So here we have screen extra. What? Okay, so you have some features right here for capturing by the looks of it. Cancel. So you have some capturing, we have some AI triggers. Wait, excuse me? We have AI triggers here. How does this work? So let's see. How do I set this up? Trigger action. Oh, okay, so whatever. Need to like tap. Sure. Please set a valid image. So I'm actually gonna move it so you can see it. Not really sure what I'm trying to do here right here actually. No. By color. So I'm trying to figure out how to set these triggers. So whatever, you know, I'm not gonna waste too much time with this one as I'm just actually getting confused like this, like I'm a damn boomer. But in any case, I was interested in this specifically just because this device doesn't come with the triggers that you would normally have on these gaming devices from Red Magic, right? So it has some AI triggers, which I was thinking that it would be associated in some way like this, but I was curious how to use them considering you don't have the actual buttons right here. So that is something that you might be interested in looking into. But anyway, let's move on to the bottom, which we do have some other options which I mentioned that we had in the settings. So you have a bunch of toggles right here, like for instance the fan, which automatically actually becomes enabled if you enable this space, the gaming space. If you leave it, it will automatically turn off the fan. Now fan will be great for cooling your device, especially if you like gaming in some like, you know, more demanding games. This will keep the processor cooled a little bit better, and obviously allow you to keep the same clocks on here for a prolonged period of time. Other than that, we have things like metrics right here. So we can show frames, we can show a battery, we can see, I think, internet speeds, time, and so on. And I think you can actually even edit that more to show you a bit more info. And you can see there's ample amounts of different options, which RGB is also enabled for some reason. Oh, there we go. You can see it around the fan. Now I do believe the fan is going to stay on. Yep, so I'm not sure what RGB is referring to. The RGB for the fan usually is visible when the fan is on. So if I turn it off, you can see it's now gone. So it indicates that the fan is running. And in here we should also have the option to see optimize. No, not this one. Where is it? Because we are right now in, I believe, normal mode, and there should be a boost kind of mode for the for here, so it actually increases the clocks of CPU and GPU. But this could potentially be hidden in these settings somewhere. Let's get rid of the music. Performance. Okay, so here we have rise, for instance. You can put it to rise, and this would try to put it, you know, clock it higher. Now, I actually recommend going through these options here and setting it up per game basis if you're planning to use this. As for instance, I don't know, if you're playing, let's say, Fruit Ninja as a stupid example, that game won't require much effort from the processor. So by setting that up per game basis, that in performance mode, when you're playing this specific game, or even Facebook as an example, it's going to be running echo. So this would lower down the clocks of the processor to get you a bit better battery life, you don't need to push your device to the max to actually play such a thing. So putting it in echo mode would be better. Now, when you're planning to play something more demanding, Genshin Impact or stuff like that, maxed out, you might actually want to crank it up to raise right here, and this would get you better performance at a cost of a battery life. So anyway, let's actually close this up. So I'm just gonna flip the switch. There we go, and it's gonna leave, and that's about it. So like I said, pretty simple list. There's not much to this device. I didn't really want to go into like super complex, I don't know, setups or anything like that. Just show you some basic functions. So anyway, if you found this helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.